G'day and welcome to this week's FriBaT, Friday Beers and Tools. Hope you've had a good week so far. I'm looking forward to having a beer for a Friday afternoon. So this week we're going to review a Little Creatures brewing company. This variety is called Rogers beer. Little Creatures is a brewery in Perth, Western Australia. I think they also now have a brewery in Geelong, which is near Melbourne. And Little Creatures has been around for a while. They've got a number of different flavours. So let's see what Rogers beer is like. It's nice. It's a little bit of bitterness to it. That's okay. A little bit of bitterness in a beer is actually quite nice. It's sort of got a roasted or toasted caramelly sort of flavour as well. Quite malty, but in a nice way. And there's just a hint of sort of citrusy flavour there as well. The bitterness is not overpowering. It's I'm not a fan of really bitter beers, but that's actually really nice. .8% alcohol. And standard stubby size in Australia is one standard drink in this case. I like it. I'm a big fan of Little Creatures. I've been to the brewery in Fremantle. I think I said Perth before. Sorry for anyone who's from Western Australia. Fremantle is where the brewery is. It's a butte set up there. And they make some really nice beers. In fact, I think I've got another couple of Little Creatures versions that I'm going to review over the next few weeks. So, what do I give the Little Creatures Rogers beer rating wise? I like it. It's a nice beer. I'm not sure I've had the Rogers before, but that is a really nice beer. I give that a good 4 spanners out of 5. Sorry if there's a little bit of background noise. We'll get into the tool review now. The dishwasher's going, so it makes a little bit of noise in the background, so I apologise for that. So our first small tool review today is a digital angle finder. These are another cheap and cheerful Chinese product. And this one I recently got from Amazon. Comes in a little cardboard box. Got some instructions with it. Really need instructions. Nice little case, and comes with a pair of batteries. That's what the face looks like. I'll put the batteries in.
A few moments later.
I'm going to have a little rant first. That took longer than what it should have to put 2 AAA batteries into the back. It has 3 Phillips head screws that require to be taken out. Now I get why they do this. It's a really important thing to prevent little kids, toddlers, getting batteries and swallowing them. This is a tool, not a toy. It should never be anywhere near a toddler. I don't understand why they need to do this sort of thing for batteries, because let's face it, you don't use these very often. You don't want to store batteries in them long term. So now every time I've got to do 3 screws just to be able to take the batteries out to store it, and then 3 screws to put the batteries back in. Rant over. Okay. Oh, it's nicely LED lit, showing an error because it needs to be zeroed. So let's zero it. That's better. So, what do we use these for? Very handy when doing welding, suspension work, anything you need to accurately find the angle of. It is selectable in, you can read degrees, percentage of angle, millimeters per meter, and even inches per foot for you Americans, because we don't use that. As I said, it takes 2 AAA batteries in the back and has a magnetic base. A little bit hard to show you that, but quite a strong magnet too. I realised the reason why it's coming up with an error is when it's tilted off axis this way, it will throw up an error. It has to be in the flat plane. Now that will actually limit its use a little bit in that it will measure angles this way, but if you have to have it sitting vertically. Another one that I've got, a smaller version, can work if it's angled like that, and it will still work on not the horizontal plane, vertical plane. It does have a hold feature, so once you've measured the angle that you want, I'll use my opener as an example. You've got a hold button, and that will retain that once you move off that. What's it worth? In Australia, you can pick up these for about $27 Australian. That was from Amazon, but came from Amazon US. The mode button switch allows you to change between the different settings, as I said, degrees, percentage, millimeters per meter, and inches per foot. Handy little bit of equipment. As I said, this one's brand new, so I haven't actually used it yet, but the other one that I've got is a small LCD version without the backlight, and it's been very handy in the past. For less than $30, very handy addition to your kit. You hold the button down to turn it off, and then it's off. What do I give the digital angle finder out of in my BEERs score? For $30, and I think you can pick there's lots and lots of different versions of them. They are a cheap and Chinese tool. I probably should have told you the accuracy of it too. It has an accuracy of 0.1 degree, which is pretty good for almost everything we do in the home workshop or even in sort of general engineering. Lots and lots of different versions of them on eBay, Amazon, etc. They're not particularly expensive, so therefore in the value stakes I would give it a solid 4.5 out of 5 BEERs for value. Very handy bit of kit to add to your tool collection. For functionality, again, a very useful tool. I'm going to give it a 4.5 BEERs out of 5 for functionality as well. Rightio, on to the big tool for this week. This is a new one to me. I will put a video of it in operation up here. I always forget, is it that way or that way? Doesn't matter. is a Suntech branded, Chinese, 4-inch extended grinder or cut-off wheel, air operated. What do you use it for? Well, I'm not going to tell you what you use a grinder for, but a lot of times the size of a grinder, especially the electric ones, they're a little bit bulky in the head, and sometimes getting into hard to reach places is quite difficult. This is a 4-inch disc on this one, thin kerf comes with it, probably not a very good quality one, but the idea of having the extended reach is that you can get into tighter spots to be able to make cuts and grinds in tighter spots. Like all air tools, just needs a couple of drops of oil. They're loud. The biggest problem with a lot of air tools, they're loud. You require hearing protection with it. In this particular case, this one, the specs on it say that it's 84 decibel, so you need hearing protection with it. The specs also say that it is a 0.7 of a horsepower air-driven motor, which is pretty powerful, and it spins at no load 17,000 RPM. The Suntech brand, I bought this one off Amazon. I actually saw a similar one in use on another YouTube channel, and I thought that is bloody handy. I think I need one of those. When I looked at the name brand ones, for example, Chicago Pneumatic, I think is fairly big in the States. I think there's also a 3M one, although I can't seem to find that in Australia. And Ingersoll Rand is another big one. The Chicago Pneumatic, which is probably a sort of a mid-range quality tool, I believe, retail for $390 Australian. The Ingersoll Rand, which is a more higher-end air tool in Australia, retails for $1,522. I'm not into paying that sort of money for tools when I'm a home mechanic and home hobbyist. This particular brand, Suntech, which its part number is SM-5L-2011L, 4-inch extended air grinder, on Amazon, delivered from the US, so it was Amazon Australia but came from Amazon US, was $141, which is half the price of the next one up, and a tenth the price of the Ingersoll Rand, less than a tenth. What comes in the kit? Comes in a box, plastic bag, run-of-the-mill blurb. Does come with some tools. I think I've mentioned previously, I hate random tools with things because you invariably lose them. There's an awful lot of tools nowadays that are designed with toolless chucks and things like that, or keyless chucks and things like that. This one, in this particular case, has a hex tool, goes down onto the shaft here, locks in place, and then you need a hex key, also provided, to undo the assembly there. Why, in this day and age, with all of the electric power tools with the grinders, have a push button to lock the head in position, and then they have some sort of key, or in fact some of them are even keyless, to be able to change the discs without tools. It's going to be a handy addition to my air gear. You already are very aware that I prefer cordless power tools over air tools now. I've got a fairly extensive collection of air tools that I've had for many years. There's nothing in the electric cordless that comes with an extended reach like this, and for $141, air tools are generally reasonably cheap nowadays. But as I said, the big downside is you have to be near a compressor. These do use a lot of airflow, so you need a fairly big compressor with a high volume, and they're bloody noisy. You have to wear hearing protection with them, otherwise you'll go deaf pretty quickly, and that's not good in the long run. But I expect it's going to be a very handy tool. It is a fairly niche tool. Does the average home workshop, or even someone who's doing a multitude of different workshop type jobs need one? No. A $50 Bunnings / Home Hardware / in America Home Depot or that sort of thing electric grinder, 100mm or 4-inch, does the job fantastically nowadays. They're cheap, they're Chinese, and they're not meant to last very long, but for less than $100 you throw them away and you buy another one, which is kind of sad. As an old school technician, I like to actually maintain things, and I like things to last. But coming back to this, for $141, I don't think I can go wrong. Right, down to ratings. Stand by. At the time of filming this part, I haven't actually tried it yet, so I'm sure you will have seen the video that I'm going to post of me using it, probably to cut up the bear frame a little bit more. I expect good things out of it, so I may need to put a caveat in later about its rating, but I can certainly do value for money. For $141, yeah, it is a niche tool. You don't need it in your workshop, but it's one of those handy to have when you've got one. So I give it a 3.5 beers out of 5 for value. For functionality, I fully expect, and I'll put a note if any different after actually trying it, I fully expect that for its purpose, its sole purpose as a long reach, hard to reach area grinder / cutting disc, I fully expect it's going to be 4.5, maybe even 5 stars. I guess we'll soon find out when I actually try it out. I will do that before I post this video. You get it, you understand. So that's the Suntech 4-inch extended or 100mm extended air grinder. I expect it to be a handy tool. Do you need one? Is it good to have one? Yep. Anyway, that's it for this week's FriBaT. I hope things are good where you are. Looks like restrictions are starting to ease a little bit in Australia. We're certainly doing pretty well compared to a lot of other countries around the world with regard to the coronavirus, and hopefully that will continue. I wish you all the best wherever you are in the world, and please stay safe. And obviously, got to say it, please like, share and subscribe. If you know of somebody who might be in the market for these type of tools, please share the video with them. I got some feedback from one of my subscribers the other day that he had bought some tools on my recommendation, so that's really great to hear. What a pity I don't get a kickback from that company, but who knows, one day when I've got 1 million subscribers, tool companies will be sending me tools to review. We can live in hope. Anyway, I don't really care whether that happens or not. I just enjoy doing it, and I enjoy sharing it with you. So please comment, and look forward to seeing you next week for next week's FriBaT. Cheers.